Oh, there's Hayden. Hi, Hayden. Hi, John. Hope you guys are having a good morning. Hello, Nikolai. Tired morning? You guys just gotta fill out your attendance form by 9:30. You can get lots of sleep, right? Studies show that teenagers, kids do better with a later start time. Wake up at 7. Alright, well, go to bed at 11. 8 hours of sleep. Good to go. Morning, Rainy. Should be going to bed a little earlier, but yeah. Hi, Ava. Woke up at 9. Hi, Sam. Alright, so what are we working on today? 3 things, the first of which is not a DNA. Again, there is no sheet this week. Instead, we are going to be working on a study guide. I'll get to that in a second. We will be diagramming eclipses. All these new people. They're not new. You've known them for months. We will be diagramming eclipses. Where could you put that? I'd put it in some place you've been keeping your notes on paper, if you've been doing that, or your last week's DNA sheet, number 22. So there's no new sheet this week, but maybe underneath where you were diagramming tides last week, you might want to add this diagram of eclipses in. Why? Because it's a review of what we did in modeling eclipses. Kind of makes more information a little more concrete, and it provides you something to study from when you're doing your study guide. Okay? Hard to hear me. Oh, I forgot to turn that down. I'm sorry. I normally don't have it that loud. It feels like a Roblox tutorial. Thanks a lot. Alright. Is that better? Yeah. Okay. So again, we're going to diagram eclipses. I wouldn't do it in another document. I would probably just keep it in last week's DNA sheet. We're not having a new one. We're doing a study guide. I'll introduce to you the study guide, the unit test, the dates, what you're going to kind of be doing day by day. And then you're going to be doing part 1, which is, thanks, Neil, which is 1 to 4, and we'll do number 3 together. All right. So if any of you kind of want to share out what you made for your modeling eclipses model, you can let me know and I'll pull that up and we can take a look at it, because number 3 is involving looking at your models from a month ago almost. All right. So let's take a look and diagram eclipses. I would put this in your older DNA sheet as just a way of keeping notes. And again, this was the last phenomenon in the Sun-Earth-Moon unit. So it completes our whole list of diagrams. We'll be doing the Sun, the Earth, and the Moon twice over, one for a solar eclipse, one for a lunar eclipse. And we'll do it from a side point of view. A lot of the diagrams have been from top down, especially like the recent ones, like tides. But this one, we want the side view so we can understand the nature of light coming from the sun and understanding how the shadows work to create what we see for the solar and lunar eclipses. Okay, so let me add in a sun and a sun. Earth and Earth. Try and keep these things, these shapes, as close and as similar as possible. If there's a little error, it's okay. It's not going to be the end of your diagram. But you want it to be as close as possible. If I had a copy and paste, I'd use that. So we'll make our first one a solar eclipse, and we'll make this next one lunar. Jake wants to know, where is this going? I suggest, if you've been doing it on paper, do it on paper. Where you were diagramming tides last week, if you're doing it on paper, keep doing it on paper. If you were doing this in your DNA sheet last week, do it in your DNA sheet from last week, number 22. There is no new one. We don't have our science notebooks, so that's the best we can do. Now that we're kind of extended in our distance learning, I may make a reference document that will be an online science notebook. We'll wait after the test to kind of see where things are going. You got your notebook? You're not supposed to have your notebook. If you were able to get it, that's awesome. Use it. I didn't tell you to get it. Your home for your notebook's supposed to be in the shelf back in the room, but if you have it, use it. All right. The moon now. If we're talking about a solar eclipse, where does the moon need to be? This is a good question from following up on modeling eclipses. Do we put the moon at a right angle? Do we put it in an alignment with the sun and the earth? Do we put it on one side or the other? None of you in chat know? I'm getting sad faces. Where does the moon go? No, instead I get a dab. Fine, here's a little hint. The moon goes here between the sun and the earth. A perfect alignment. We gotta be a little more specific, Downey. All right. Lunar eclipse, the moon is going to be going over here. What phase is this moon in? Oh, that's going to be a new moon, and this is a, opposite the new moon, a full moon. All right. They have to be lined up, but you have to be specific in the alignment. You can just say they have to be in a line. A lot of you said that in the evaluate section of modern eclipses. You have to be specific and say that the moon is between the sun and the earth, or it is after the sun and the earth. What's a better way of saying that? Because phases tell us location. The moon needs to be in a new moon, which means it's in front of the earth, in between the earth and the sun, or it's a full moon, which is behind the earth in relationship to the sun. No, I should take away G-Bucks. It's not a bad idea, Nikolai. So to do the diagram further, to try to figure out where the shadow is, we need 4 beams of light, and they're going to come from the sun. Okay, sun radiates in all directions, but this is the maximum extent light can reach from the sun to the moon. It can reach from right here, the North Pole and the South Pole. So I'm going to have a beam of light radiate from the moon, hit the top of the moon. I'm going to have a beam of light from the top of the sun to the bottom of the moon. All right, and if I can continue those lines, they trace a pattern like that, right? Well, that's not really light, that's a shadow. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing at the bottom. This is, again, the maximum amount of light that the moon can receive from the sun, from the North and South Pole, everywhere in between as well. So from the bottom, we connect bottom to the top of the moon, and we connect bottom of the sun to bottom of the moon. And it's not perfect because I haven't used a ruler or protractor, but just kind of understanding that these are shadows. And what you end up getting is a crisscross of the shadow. And when you crisscross the shadow, you get a very dark, direct shadow. That's called the umbra. And then when you have indirect shadow, so some light is able to actually get around the moon, some light is blocked by the moon, you get an indirect shadow. That's called the penumbra. So in reality, this Earth is much too small in its scale. The moon casts a small-ish shadow, and this is nowhere near real life, okay, but casts a small shadow on the Earth. Wherever you have the umbra falling on the Earth, that's where you'll see a total eclipse. Does the sun have a shadow? No, it radiates light. Can it be transited or blocked? Sure. It is a joke. Well, you phrase it as a real question. All right. Remember, this is not to scale. All right. And just as a reference, dark portion is called the umbra. That's the direct shadow, like direct and indirect light. And then this gray that I've been using is the penumbra. That's indirect shadow. And yes, if you have a penumbral eclipse, then that would be a partial eclipse, right? And it's an indirect, it's an impartial eclipse. So a solar eclipse can only happen during the new moon, and it is the moon's umbra falling on the Earth. If you are at where the purple is on the Earth, you will see a total eclipse. If you're anywhere else, you will see a partial or nothing at all. Even if people are seeing a total eclipse somewhere else on the Earth, you don't see anything else because the angle is not perfect for you. The shadow does not fall over you. Okay? So very similar for the lunar eclipse too. 4 beams of light and they're kind of crisscrossing from the north pole of the sun to the south pole of the sun. Okay, we're going to do the same thing with the Earth. Connect top to top and then top to bottom. Again, you don't have light going past the Earth, so that becomes shadow. Where you have double blocking of light, that becomes the direct shadow, the umbra. I'll draw the moon back in. Moon's not gone. We're not going to have crazy seasons. We're not going to have solar tides. And then obviously the rest is filled in as a penumbra. Moon did not explode. We did not bring it inside the Roche limit. See, it's back. Okay, so again in penumbra, you have light being partially blocked, but able to move around the other side of the Earth. If you have double penumbra, obviously it'll become a direct shadow. So a lunar eclipse happens when the new moon is in a umbra of the Earth, moving in its counterclockwise orbit. Should add that in too. All right. So it's, I don't want to say it's simple, but it's less things to look at compared to like the tide diagram or the lunar phase diagram. It's the same three objects, sun, earth, and moon. The moon is the one that's primarily going to change the alignment because the moon is the one that's moving the most in relation to the other two. Yes, the earth is moving. Yes, the sun is moving, but it's the moon that's moving the most in relationship to the other two. And the moon moving in its revolution determines what kind of phase it's in, and the phase correlates to certain phenomenon that we see. So the phase of new moon and new moon can correlate with, well, that's the only time you're ever going to see the new moon during a solar eclipse, and then it correlates with a full moon. Okay, at the same time, new moon and full moon correlate during a spring tide. So high tides are higher, low tides are lower. All right, so when you have a eclipse, you have a spring tide. All right. I'll answer your question in a little bit, Ryan. Are there any questions about this diagram? Again, just understand what a solar and lunar eclipse is based on the phases. It's a work of art. I try. You show Miss Carlo. So what does it actually look in person? I'm going to move on for good here. Veritasium is a really cool channel. I'll just show part of them. I've already linked them in the description to kind of give him credit. But he does a lot of cool science stuff. I've shown him, I think, a couple times in class. And in 2017, we had the quote unquote Great American Eclipse, in which the umbra of the moon traveled across the United States. It entered, I believe, over South Carolina and then moved across the Midwest and ended out leaving over Oregon. So he's currently at Oregon in 2017, August. We'll kind of take a look at what he was seeing. Again, you should never look directly at the sun unless you want to go blind, especially during an eclipse. Not because the sun's more dangerous during an eclipse, just because more people are looking at the sun during an eclipse, just comes out more. All right. I watched some of his videos last unit test to study. Perfect. Okay. He's a very good channel, good resource. So we'll kind of listen to him a little bit. I'll skip around.
Tech. This is C1. You can just see the moon entering on the top right side.
I still got that music going. There. I'm back.
We are 17 minutes out from totality, and I think the light is starting to change. I think it's getting noticeably dimmer. There's a bit of like a cold wind coming in from this side. Can you guys feel it? It's getting kind of cool, and it's getting darker. I'm really excited.
So they're 17 minutes away from totality, and he's starting to enter the penumbra. I gave him credit, Jake. I'm not showing the whole thing.
Now that the sun is about 90% covered, I'm seeing much sharper shadows. Normally shadows, they're a little bit fuzzy because the light from the sun is coming from a whole bunch of locations, but now because it's coming from basically one little sliver of the sun, the shadows are all getting very, very sharp.
So I just want to get to totality because there's really no other way we can see it together.
What?
Oh my god!
Just unbelievable. What?
Oh my god!
What is happening? This is absolutely insane.
There's the peaks!
I feel like it's hard to breathe. Oh my god.
So that's the only time you will ever see the new moon. All right? Outlined by the sun. And what all is this haziness right here? This is the sun's corona. This is the sun's atmosphere. All right? It is charged plasma, charged particles coming from and around the sun. They follow magnetic lines from the sun. And even in some spots, you can even see like a solar flare. Like over here at the north side of the moon, you can see at the tip a little flare.
This is so totally creepy.
Oh my god!
Nice zoom in right there.
Oh my goodness.
This is the hottest part of the sun right here, the atmosphere. All those charged particles. We remember talking about the thermosphere being the hottest part of the atmosphere of the Earth. I mean, these are where the particles are coming from. All right, and these are magnetic lines that it will eventually fall back around to. You can either see like solar flares online, and they kind of come out and they collapse back down into the sun. All right.
This feels so weird.
And it's like twilight because they're in the umbra.
Oh
It's a
my
sunrise
goodness.
and a sunset in all directions.
There's like sunset, sunrise, every direction. People are going nuts. This I did not expect. I don't know what I expected, but at the bottom. Oh! We are inside totality. I am kind of speechless.
There's a real life shot of it.
It is just unreal right now.
It's a tiny black point.
It's totally nuts.
What if the moon just decided not to move from that point? It can't, because you can't stop an outside force.
Poke the hole in the sky.
Unless you had an outside force. And if you try to stop the moon, it'd probably blow up and end up in the problem that we talked about. And now it's starting to continue to move. Why does it look white? Because light is mostly
Our excitement,
white
the
light
sun is back.
is radiation. The sun does have a slight
I'm gonna
yellow.
pop the solar filter back on. Quarters, you made it possible.
So it was pretty cool to actually see an eclipse. Again, watch the whole video at Veritasium. Get a whole appreciation of how long it takes and how it works. Okay? So we diagrammed our eclipses here. You should put that back in last week's sheet so you have record of it so you can study from. Okay? We took a look at a real eclipse. Next, kind of want to transition to what we're doing for most of this week, and that is reviewing the sun, earth, and the moon through our study guide, which I did post in Classroom, and talk about the unit test. All right? So let's kind of work a little backwards. You have a unit test. It's going to be April 7th. That's next Tuesday. So it's a week from today. All right. The study guide is broken down into chunks, 4 major parts or chunks. Okay. You're going to work on each of those parts every day. Study guide should be done Monday morning. We will have a review Monday, April 6th. Okay, we'll go over the study guide, answer any final questions. I will host a live quizzes here on YouTube. You guys can compete against each other. All right, and then you'll have your test by Google Form in classroom on Tuesday, April 7th. Have until the end of the day to take it. All right, same format as before. There will be a series of multiple choice questions. However, you'll need to justify your answer. So it's not just about getting a lucky guess on a multiple choice question. You have to know why you got the question right. So even if you got all the multiple choice right, and you did none of the justification, or you couldn't explain yourself, no matter how you got the answer, you end up with a 50%, no matter what. All right, so keep that in mind. Justifications are incredibly important. Go over what that is again when we get close to the test. So the due date of the study guide, again, I've posted due Monday at 10 in the morning. Ryan wants a clarification. Okay, the test is Tuesday, April 7th, right? This study guide is due the morning of Monday, April 6th. I always want the study guide done before then or at that time so that you can do a review of it. Otherwise, when I review it and you're completing it, you're not studying, you're just trying to get down information as quickly as possible. That's not studying. You should be going into Monday understanding as much information as you can, and then leaving Monday with us in YouTube or whatever you're doing on Monday with an idea of what I need to refine further. Okay, if I missed a bunch of questions on tides during the quizzes, or I didn't get many questions right in the study guide about tides, then I should go back and I should study tides more. All right, or if I didn't do so well on seasons parts of the quizzes or on the seasons part of the study guide, then I should go back and instead of just keep reviewing eclipses over and over and over again, I should go back and I should look at seasons. So you should be just reviewing everything this week, and then Monday we're going to target what your weakness is. You should be studying that weakness and then come take the test on Tuesday. All right? Where are we supposed to get the answers for the study guide? We're going to do it in pieces, Eric. Okay? Starting today, into Friday, and further on. All right? I will do one question with you each day. You do the study guide. I review it that Monday. So that's where the answers come from. The answers come from your assignments, from your notes, and from you. With me, if you have a question. All right? Just wanted to make sure I was clear. So here's the study guide. And this is part 1. You are doing 1, 2, and 4. Okay? I think these are hopefully simpler than what I can ask later. And we're just going to the general movement of the sun, the earth, and the moon. Right? Number 1, what is rotation? How long does it take for the earth to do one rotation? How long does it take for the moon to do one rotation? Number 2, what is revolution? How long does it take for the earth to revolve once? How long does it take for the moon to revolve once? What do those both things, it's not included there, but what you should know is what is each revolving around? All right. Number 4, why does day and night exist? Why does the earth have day and night? Why does the moon have day and night? That is an important question, even though you might not think it's important. The reason why we have lunar phases is because the moon has a slow change in day and night. Okay? In addition to it being at a certain angle from the sun to the earth. So you are working on 1, 2, and 4 right now. I'll answer questions as they come up. and I'm going to be kind of talking about answering number 3 while you're kind of working and have questions. All right? Does that answer your question, Ryan? Okay, good. All right, so I'm going to be talking about number 3 a little bit. Describe how to make a model of the SEM system using common materials. Include approximate scale according to size and motion with direction. Any of you want me to take a look at your model? If not, I'll find one. I have a couple in mind. The moon rotates the same speed as the Earth, correct? Rainy? I'd be careful. If the moon rotates the same speed as the Earth, that means the Earth is rotating every 28 days? Or does that mean the moon is rotating once every 24 hours? That was the common mistake people made on their models during modeling the SEM system. So, Downey, I'm going to pull up yours. Because I believe it was a really good model. We just had one mistake.
Oh. That rotation.
So, like Sicione just said, that rotation is a little inaccurate. It's kind of what Jake's asking. Can I just say the moon rotates the same speed as the Earth? No, you can't. All right. So they have 3 pom-poms, different sizes. Largest one's the sun, medium one's the Earth, the smallest one's the moon. All right. They're holding these objects in space like these objects are, except they're held together by gravity instead of pipe cleaners or fuzzy sticks. All right. They are using revolution. Earth is rotating around the sun. The problem is, because the moon is attached to the Earth directly by a fuzzy stick, right there, the moon is actually revolving at the same speed the Earth is rotating at. All right? I'll say it again. The moon is revolving at the same speed the Earth is rotating at, which means that you would have a lunar cycle once every day, and you never see the phases in a complete cycle. You only see certain phases. So the moon does not revolve the same speed the Earth rotates at. All right? So keep that in mind, that the moon and the Earth are not joint at the hip. So a lot of models did something similar to that. If your moon was attached to your Earth in any way, you automatically set yourself up for that error. All right? Serenity, if you're watching, I'm going to be pulling up your model. Oh, you removed it. They showed motion using their hands, but it was still accurate motion. So they had a detached moon and an Earth in their model, and it was pretty good. Let's see if I can find another. Kevin used an Ozobot. He made his own code for it. Again, pretty ingenious use of the Ozobot. It is revolving and rotating around the sun. The problem, though, is, like I said in the previous model, the moon is attached to the Earth, which means the moon has the same revolution speed as the Earth rotation speed, and that's an inaccuracy. So you got to be careful with that. So the Ozobot's moving in a tiny arc, and it rotates every few centimeters. So it's not a perfect representation, but it's a pretty good showing of free motion. Pull up one more. Rainey says this is good. Come on. There it is. Takes 1 year, Eric. How long's a year? I never saw it. I think I still gave you... If I didn't give you credit, Jack, send me an email about that. Alright. So this is yours. This is yours,
And
Rainey,
all they
right?
have to do is one full rotation. Yeah, we're gonna have to.
Wait, no, isn't it the other way, counterclockwise?
They're going counterclockwise. That's good. But their stick should be going the other way. Again, good use of free motion, rotation of the Earth, but the flaw, the moon, is attached to their 3D printed disk of the Earth.
Moving.
Alright, so good rotation, it was going counterclockwise, revolution was counterclockwise, it was good motion, but the moon was attached to it. So yeah, I know not everyone's perfect, Rainies, but just want you to understand what isn't perfect about the model. If you understand what's not perfect about it, you understand what the actual system of the sun, earth, and moon is. All right. Yes, plus also the earth is flat, and that's not, accurate too. So the moon is attached to the earth, and again, the same rotation speed, or the rotation of the earth is the speed of the revolution of the moon. That's not right. This is Eric's, his partners. I believe you're working with Brady, right, Eric? This one shows accurate motion. His moon's a little big. Could have made your Earth a little bigger, your sun a little bigger, but the motion is accurate. All right? Earth is rotating, but it's rotating the wrong direction. Earth is rotating. His point of view, yeah, it's going clockwise. You gotta go counterclockwise. So the motion of the Earth, it is rotating wrong direction. It is revolving wrong direction, but still rotating while revolving, the moon same side facing the Earth. Okay? Maybe revolving a little fast, but still the right idea. Okay? Only thing I would change there is just change up the size and then just change the direction that things are moving in, rotating and revolving. Alright? Because even the moon is revolving clockwise. So if you just flip which direction everything's moving, you're good. Alright? Again, it's not that big of a problem. But if you can pick out what's inaccurate, you understand what the actual sun, earth, and moon do. Right? This is why we do it. Learn from our mistakes so that we can do better here. Kill offs on the document. Just wanted to make sure it wasn't you guys. Because if a student's on here, that means I didn't share it with you guys, right? All right. So kind of like final answer for number 3. Just so you have somewhere to refer back to. Describe how to make a model of the SEM system using common materials. Let me write down. No, that's fine, Miss Kiloff. I just wanted to make sure the kids weren't on it, because if the kids were on it, that means I didn't give them their own copy. Yeah, you can do whatever you need to do to that version. For number 3, do we just explain what we did for our model? That's kind of why we did it. But I would explain what you would do for the perfect version of the model. All right. So your answer is your perfect. And like Rainey said, nobody's perfect. Your perfect version of the SEM model. That's what your answer would be for number 3. Okay? And I would just say, keep a couple things in mind. Keep scale in mind if you're discussing your model. What do I mean by that? Well, I mean that the sun should be larger than the Earth, and the Earth should be larger than the moon. Technically, if you want to get real specific, you'd have to think of a way to show scale in that these two are much smaller than the sun. Okay? So you gotta keep scale in mind. You gotta keep motion in mind, right? All these objects, the Earth and the Moon, they rotate and revolve counter clockwise. And then obviously you use your answers for number 1 and 2 to figure out, well, one should be moving faster in its revolution than the other. No, those should be spinning faster, right? So what does that, kind of mean? So motion. The Earth should also rotate much faster than the moon revolves at. Sorry if it's a little messy. But the Earth should rotate much faster than the Moon revolves. I mean, think about it. We talk about the Earth speed of rotation in hours. We talk about the Moon's revolution and rotation speed in days. So think about the units. All right. Hayden, if you want to make a drawing, go right ahead. This is your study guide. If diagrams make sense to you, and you're good at making diagrams, make a diagram. If you really like just describing and explaining, being hypothetical, then just type out a longer answer. The point of this study guide, and the point of any study guide, is for you to go off into your older assignments, into your DNA sheets, into your notes, and find things that were incredibly important so that you can review them, put them into your head, and be able to pull them out for a test. That's the whole point of the study guide. I give you these questions to kind of show you that you can target certain things to look at. Does everything rotate counterclockwise? 99.99999% of the solar system is going to revolve counterclockwise. We start talking about the solar system after our test, you'll find that one object that doesn't do that. No, it is not Planet 7. That just has a tilt in its... There you go. Planet 7 just has a tilt in its axis. Hayden knows the object. Hayden told you the answer. Planet 7 has a tilt in its axis, and it rolls around the solar system on its sideways axis. Counterclockwise, though. You guys want to do a lot of research about Planet 7? You guys can do that research about Planet 7 after our unit test. Again, if you're not in chat, but you still have a question, send it through Remind, send it through email. I'll address it. If you don't want me to say your name, you can say so. I won't say your name. Could you theoretically set off Jupiter on fire? I mean, eventually the explosions will kind of dissipate. But yeah, you could cause massive explosions on Jupiter. If you're interested, you could look up footage of Comet Shoemaker-Levy 9 crashing into Jupiter. So when you weren't even born in 1994, Comet Shoemaker-Levy 9 broke apart in Jupiter's Roche limit, tidal force, and collided with the planet. So the comet was shredded apart by Jupiter's Roche limit, so it was inside the Roche limit where tidal forces are breaking the comet apart, and it made several impacts onto the planet. Did it cause the entire planet to catch on fire? No, but there were massive explosions left in the atmosphere of Jupiter. Remember, Jupiter does not have a surface, so there were no craters, but there were massive marks. We did have actual visuals of it, but I didn't show it. Oh no, the agenda blocked it. Let me go back. Whoops. There. So again, like I was saying, you couldn't see it before. Comet's inside the Roche limit of Jupiter, shredded apart, crashes into the planet. This is the first time we saw a comet impact in the solar system. They're common, but again, the solar system being so large, it's tough to track. I'm trying to look for some actual pictures though. There's that impact. Made a dot and a series of lines, but those series of lines are probably like, you know, size of Earth, maybe a little larger. Great Red Spot is larger than the planet Earth. Hurricane larger than Earth. But again, that's all. After this, after we talk about the Sun, Earth, and Moon, we finally will leave the solar system. Leave the Sun, Earth, Moon system and go into the solar system. That wasn't Venus, that was Jupiter. Ryan. Eric wants to know what questions do we have to do for the study guide. Well, if I pull up the planet blocking agenda again, for some reason it got separated from its background. Or it got resized somehow. I gotta fix that later. We diagrammed eclipses. We talked about the study guide. You are doing 1 to 4. I did 3 with you, and I just kind of showed you what you would put for number 3. So you're doing 1 to 4. This is your reference for number 3. Rotation of the Earth, rotation of the Moon, revolution of the Earth, revolution of the Moon. Why does day and night exist? By Eric. Anybody else have any final questions about the Sun, Earth, and Moon? There it is. So for number 3, instead of describing, explaining, we can just draw a diagram to show what we want, or do we also have to explain the drawing? So I would, if you want to draw it, I would definitely label it and then provide a couple sentences of what I'm looking at. All right, or you at least got to draw in what the rotation speed is and what the revolution speed is. All right, so you have to have a brief explanation if you're going to draw it. If you don't draw it, you need like a large explanation. You're going to need like almost borderline a paragraph. So for number 3, I would diagram what you would want to make, I would label it, and then I would just give me a sentence or two explaining it. That comes from Azra. Jake, for question 3, do we have to list the exact formation for the Sun, Earth, and Moon? Exact formation? The exact alignment? You can just put the Earth and the Moon around the Sun, and then just tell me which way they move. Give me an arrow. All right. You're welcome, Azra. We're all supposed to be on Miss Green's live chat at 11. Okay. Well, good luck, Miss Kildoff. Have fun. Any final questions? Quick. Or email remind throughout the day. I'll get back to you. If you're stuck on 1 to 4, this was a guidance on number 3, because number 3 was a little more open-ended. All right. Tomorrow you'll do the next 4. We will do 5, 6, 7, and 8. One of those we'll do together. The rest you do on your own. All right. Chunking this study guide into pieces so that we can review for Monday and then take our test a week from today, April 7th. All right. Polly, my silence on your email is my answer. All right. Try and have a good day. See you tomorrow. Bye, Rainy. Bye, John. Bye, Logan.